Welcome back, everyone, to a Noor Ever. I am so excited for today's episode, which I specifically chose while reading, and it is the predictions of our Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, especially those that came true in the realm of science that we know of today until today. So let's start off with one quote that is so incredible, or one hadith, I should say. As related by Bukhari, God's messenger declared, God did not send down an illness for which he did not send a cure. Now, this is incredible for the realm of medical research because it basically says, research, try to find what you can, because Allah sent down a cure for every single illness possible, except one thing. And as this is related in another version, it says, do not neglect to treat your diseases, for Allah does not send a disease for which he does not also send a cure. The only exception is old age. So that gives us the freedom to basically find the cure for every single disease except one thing, and that is old age. So through this, the Prophet ﷺ warns us to take care of our health and to treat our illnesses, but at the same time, he warns us not to neglect preparing for the afterlife as well. So moving on to another topic, which is the prophets. So the prophets kind of represent the epitome of scientific discovery, right? In certain skills, how far can humanity reach? How much can we do? And every single prophet, through the miracles that were provided for them by Allah, we know up until the peak of where we can reach. So let's go into a little bit more detail about what this means. So looking at Isa alayhi salam and his miracle of bringing the dead back to life, we know that us as humans could pretty much cure everything except death. And the story of Moses' staff also tells us one really cool thing, which is that we can use inanimate objects for various purposes, like as we would obtain water from a deep underground well through things like a centrifuge or like a well. But we would never be able to cause a rock to bring forth abundant water by striking it with a staff, or to change a staff into a snake. Those are like the epitome of discovery that is only solely to Musa alayhi salam and given to him. So we know that we could utilize inanimate objects for these various things. And the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam's greatest miracle is the Quran, and which marks the furthest limit of literary style and eloquence that a human being could achieve. Why? He was ummi. He couldn't read or write, but he was given this these amazing verses that even surprised the most eloquent and most skilled and famous poets of the time. When they heard the verses of the Quran for the first time, they were struck, and they came to Iman because they knew that these were not words that regular human being could just express. So this implies that the furthest limits in literary style that a human being could achieve is the Quran, and we can't achieve anything. I mean, we can't achieve the Quran. That is only something given to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ by Allah. But we have the go to do any kind of eloquent style up until that point. Another hadith on the terms of scientific discovery and his predictions is, if you hear that there is pestilence in a place, don't enter it. If disease breaks out where you are, don't leave it to escape the disease. According to Ahmad ibn Hanbal, he also declared, keep away from the leper, which was a disease at the time, as you do from a lion. And this is incredible. This basically tells us the concept of quarantining, right? As we have experienced during the pandemic, it basically tells us to quarantine if we have a disease that's spreadable, and to not let it escape and not let it spread as well. So moving on to these scientific discoveries and these predictions that have come true today to our knowledge. One of them is in a hadith, God's messenger declares, if a dog licks your bowl, clean it 7 times. First time with soil, and then the other 6 times with water. This actually describes a very medical principle that related to bacteria. Dogs carry these microbes of certain diseases that can be passed on to people and could become very dangerous as well. And that the soil is actually kind of disinfection. It can be used for disinfection and sterilization, as we have seen in this hadith centuries before this discovery maybe was even made. And also we know that to be careful of a dog's saliva and how to treat that as well. And the soil is a good sterilization item because it contains substances like tetracycline, which I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's good for sterilization, which we've seen in this hadith. And moving on to another prediction or another discovery said centuries before by Prophet ﷺ was the blessings of food lie in washing hands before and after eating. Now, we know every single one of our parents has probably told us to go wash our hands before we eat, and that's for a very good reason as well, you know? It supports cleanliness and makes sure we don't get sick, as germs could accumulate in our hands because we touch everywhere. And when we eat them, this could be passed on to us. So washing our hands before we eat, a very, very, very good thing to, good hadith for us to follow, especially in that time, in the time of Bedouins where everyone would eat with their hands as well. Incredible discoveries by our Prophet alayhi salam. In another hadith, he also advises us to wash our hands after we wake up, since you don't know where your hands have moved while you sleep. As it said in the hadith, at the time, no one even knew what microbes were, it's just sickness that could kill you or not. And people didn't know how these things kind of worked exactly or what these little microbes were. But our Prophet ﷺ, through Allah, attained these predictions, and it gave us the precaution that we should take to protect ourselves. So moving on into the realm of dental care. Dental hygiene is so very important, and we understand its importance kind of today. We try to brush our teeth with fluoride toothpaste every moment, but our Prophet ﷺ in those times, through using the miswak, he had maintained perfect, clean, white teeth that didn't cause him any infection or any sicknesses, which is so very important. He probably brushed his teeth more often than we do in today's society, where we give such importance to health. Which was a very, very, very important development in scientific discovery and health, especially. Moving on to another hadith. In relation to health and digestion, God's messenger recommended, in eating, apportion a third of your stomach to food, another third to water, and leave the last third empty. The bowl most distasteful to God is a full stomach. In a similar hadith, he says, "What I fear concerning my community is a large belly, oversleep, idleness, and the lack of certainty." Now, when we look at the concept of how much we eat and how much we sleep and how much we focus, we see this correlation. The more we eat, the more we sleep. The more we eat, especially sugars, the more we lose focus. And through this hadith, our Messenger ﷺ gives us a very wonderful health tidbit, that we are looking into, and scientists are discovering more in today's society. Another hadith by our Prophet ﷺ is, treat your eyes with kohl, for it nourishes the eyes and eyelashes. And this is something that medical authorities state about kohl, but of course not the synthetic ones that we might find in the store today, but actual pure kohl is very good for our eyes. Something else, another substance that our Prophet ﷺ recommends for use is henna, and it's actually known for its antibiotic and dermatological effect as well. It is better and more effective as an antiseptic and sterilization agent than substances like iodine. Bukhari relates from Abu Huraira that once God's messenger said, a black cumin seed contains a cure for every illness but death. And you might be seeing cumin seed oil or cumin seeds in the kitchen that your parents might be using. Maybe it's not as used as often in youth, but he claims that it contains a cure for every illness but death. And as someone who receives revelation from God and whose every prediction comes true, I think we should definitely take this to heart and use it. And this is used in many therapeutic methods as well. A patient needs specific, nutrients and vitamins and proteins and calories, and all of these properties are to be found in cumin, as discovered by scientists. Something else the Prophet ﷺ mentions is really interesting. When he says, when a fly falls into your bowl of food, dip it completely in the food and then take it out. So why is this? There is disease in one of the fly's wings, and there is the cure for it in the other. So no one at the time knew that flies carried microbes. Crazy. Moreover, When a fly drops into your bowl, they usually hold off one of their wings, and their other one might dip in. So this could leave this bacteria on the food, but it is said by the Prophet ﷺ that when it is submerged with a slight touch, the tiny bag on the other wing bursts and scatters this antibacteria to kill the germs that it had already left. So this is a very recent medical discovery. And if a reason the fly falls into your food, I mean, the better option might be just to take it out completely. But of course, you may not always have access to plentiful food. But you dip the fly completely into it to get that antibiotic aspect from the other wing as well. So one of our last hadith is on alcohol. So Tariq ibn Suwaid narrates that I used to suffer from an illness and took alcohol as a remedy. When alcohol was banned, I asked God's messenger whether I could continue using this remedy. He told me, no, for it is not a remedy, rather it is the disease itself on alcohol. Scientists now agree that even a single drop of alcohol could be very harmful for one's well-being. Now, these are just some of the hadith that have been confirmed through the research that we have attained and the knowledge we have attained until today. But they all reflect the truthfulness of the Prophet ﷺ and how he was given these revelations by God. Because a regular human can't just come to this conclusion, right? Especially someone who hasn't studied, who doesn't know how to read nor write. They can't just wake up one day and come to these conclusions themselves. And these are the predictions that have come true so far, and let's see what is going to come true in the next years in knowledge and scientific discovery. If the prophets had lied even once, they would be unable to carry this message of revelation. But because everything they say is true, they are able to, and that is the epitome of their prophethood as well. So this was very interesting for me to find out. I hope this was beneficial for you as well. We have so much to learn in every aspect of life from the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, even in scientific discovery too. At a time in Bedouin Arabia, when not much of this transaction of knowledge was happening. So hopefully we will learn about him more together on this channel. I hope to see all of you in our next episode. Take care, everyone.